Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of the Big Donch Show. Today, we're going to be recapping this past weekend's fights: Zurdo Ramirez versus Joe Smith Jr., Leigh Wood versus Josh Warrington, and a whole lot more. We're going to be also covering some boxing fights for this upcoming Saturday and just overall boxing news happening in the world. Just a reminder to subscribe to my YouTube, Big Donch, and follow me on TikTok and Instagram, also called Big Donch. Let's get right into it. So, this weekend, not too many big fights, but definitely good fights. Definitely good fights. That's usually the case, right? We had Leigh Wood 28-3 versus Josh Warrington 31-3-1. Okay. This was for the WBA featherweight title in England. Okay. And Leigh Wood had coming up some pretty good fights. Already, Josh Warrington, warrior. Let me just tell you, it was a good scrap. Both men were going at it. And the English atmosphere, I gotta say, for all sports, but boxing and UFC, I know when UFC takes place in London, the atmosphere is crazy. I respect that. I definitely do. Everyone's chanting. Like that's perfect. You don't see that in America much, right? You really don't see that in America, and I wish we did. I wish we did. England, doesn't matter who's fighting, doesn't matter where you're from. There's cheers. It's just good old fans having fun. I wish that was the case in America. But let me just say, it was a good scrap, good fight between both of the guys. And Warrington was doing real well. All right, it was a good battle, close fight, good scrap until Leigh Wood comes from behind and lays a whooping. Lays a whooping, gets the knockout. 7th round stoppage. What an unbelievable fight. I mean, he was coming back, really. He was trailing on points. He was trailing on points. He did everything he could. There was a multiple combo punch. It wasn't just one punch, multiple combos, and Warrington couldn't have it. So, hey, like I said, good fight, featherweight title, getting up there, getting competitive. Hey, respect to both fighters. They're both, like I said, very intense, and I respect that. Hey, like I said, usually the big fights aren't always the best fights. Fights like these, no pay-per-view fights, they're usually better fights. It is what it is. I'm just looking at real quick boxing scene. I like to follow boxing scene. Like, look at this, but Jazza Dickens, Mauricio Lara, and Michael Conlan. That one was crazy when he knocked out Conlan. All had success against Wood by setting a high pace and making Wood fight. Warrington has made a career out of doing just that, but after heartbreaking defeats to Marciano Lara and Alberto Lopez. So, hey, still respect to both of them. I mean, I'm pretty sure Warrington's old, right? Or Wood's old. One of them's old, 35 years old. So, respect to both. Still can make a good case. That was for the WBA featherweight title in England. Zurdo Ramirez, 45-1 versus Joe Smith Jr., 28-5. This was for the cruiserweight. This was just a 10-round WBA eliminator. This was, I'm pretty sure, both their first times at cruiserweight. Definitely Joe Smith Jr. I've been following him for a while. He was coming off that devastating loss to Arthur Beterbiev, kind of an embarrassing loss. It was like a second round, third round knockout, just got absolutely destroyed. Arthur Beterbiev, though, he's that guy. Joe Smith Jr. is a former champ. They scored it 99-91 for Zurdo. I think it was a bit closer than that. Zurdo won 100%. Okay, Zurdo Ramirez won, but 99-91. That means that Joe Smith only won one round. I mean, listen, it doesn't matter. Ramirez won, but it just goes back to scoring and judges in boxing. I had Joe Smith winning a couple more rounds than that. 3 rounds, maybe 4 rounds. Either way, Ramirez pulled away, but only given 1 round to Joe Smith Jr. Man, come on. I don't know what's next for Joe. Listen, with Joey, he's going to give you a fight. He's going to give you a fight. Doesn't matter. All right, Arthur Beterbiev wasn't the case, but everybody else, he gives you a fight. He's a warrior, tough guy, great for the sport of boxing. I don't know what's next for him. I mean, I doubt he goes back down light heavyweight. That's Beterbiev, Bivol's division. I mean, eventually people are going to move up to like Benavidez. I mean, Canelo's old. Do I have Canelo beating Joseph Jr. also? Yes, but I don't know. He was a former champion though, and that nobody can ever take away from him. Realistically, right? I mean, yeah, you could take away the belt from him, but still, he's still a champion. He's still a former champion. Ramirez though, he looked good. He looked good. He was boxing. He was taking punches. Ramirez could do some damage. He could win a belt. I don't think he's beating Bivol. I don't think he's winning Beterbiev. But when those guys retire, Ramirez could. What am I talking about? Cruiserweight we're talking about. I was talking about Joe Smith not bumping down and beating Arthur Beterbiev and B-Ball. Ramirez, okay, he at cruiserweight, okay, cruiserweight division's pretty weak. Probably one of the weakest divisions in boxing. No disrespect, all right? Just because I say it's weak doesn't mean that they're bad. I'm saying compared to the other divisions, when it comes to competitiveness, I think, Zurdo Ramirez was 45-1. A lot of that is a bit stat padded, but he definitely can make the case. He definitely can make the case for winning a championship there. He could maybe wipe out the division, right? He has to just focus more on strength, right? Focus more on power. I think he can do some damage. So moving away from the fight weekend recaps, I want to mention today, Brian Bo McIntyre, okay, famous trainer of Terrence Crawford. He receives a 20-month suspended sentence, free to return home. Okay, what happened was, he brought a gun. Okay, here's off the boxing scene also. McIntyre pleaded guilty of 2 firearm offenses and was given a 20 months suspended prison sentence at a sentencing hearing at Manchester Crown Court. The sentence is suspended for a period of 2 years. I personally believe it was a slap on the wrist. I mean, I don't really care, but slap on the wrist, because usually stuff like that's taken serious. So here's also from boxing scene. The following morning, 53-year-old had checked into Manchester Airport and was waiting in Terminal 2 departure for a flight to Atlanta. He was arrested by security officials after a scan showed a handgun and ammunition in his baggage. Now listen, people got to protect themselves. People carry guns in America. I understand that. But when you're in a different country, you got to be smart. And when you're at the airport, you got to read the rules, right? I mean, yeah, you could fly with guns, but you have to go through this whole process. But at least know what you're doing, right? At least you know what you're doing. He was charged with possession of a handgun and possession of ammunition regarding custody after hearing at Stockport Magistrates Court. So there was a picture of Terrence Crawford and McIntyre today. I'm pretty sure it was in England. So Crawford definitely helped there. I mean, he had to have some influence, but just brings up the question: will the common man get that same sentence, or fame and money get that sentence? I'm gonna go with the last one. Unfortunately, it just is what it is. Not only in America, but obviously happening in England too. Now, do I think that? Listen, I'm not saying that Bo Mack should get 5 years or whatever. I'm just saying, no. I just know, rich privilege and class privilege and fame privilege all played in a role with this. It is what it is, though. Terrence Crawford obviously needs Bo Mack. He's a great trainer. So that's all I have to say. So some big fights this Saturday on the boxing schedule. But not so much big fights where they're for titles. I mean, there is actually some big fights. Good fights, I'll say, not big fights. The biggest fight is Tommy Fury versus KSI, but actual boxing, you have Tim Tszyu versus Brian Mendoza, and then you have Janibek versus Vincenzo Gualtieri. Okay, that's all this Saturday. I think the best fight will be Tim Tszyu versus Brian Mendoza. Tommy Fury versus KSI, let me just say, for all you guys who are big KSI fans, if any, well, I know there's definitely a lot of KSI fans. You're going to see this Saturday, there's levels to this. I mean, Tommy Fury is an actual boxer, and I know a lot of people don't like to say that. He is. He, unlike Jake Paul and KSI, he was an actual boxer before he turned a celebrity. Not the other way around, like Jake Paul and KSI, where they were celebrities turned boxers. Tommy Fury, there's levels to this. I have Jake Paul destroying KSI. Tommy Fury beat Jake Paul. We're going to see this Saturday. I mean, Tommy Fury's not even training that much. I'm not even seeing much training from him. He's going to lay a whooping. Listen, KSI has not fought any good competition at all. Like his last fight, it was an elbow, the illegal punch. I have Tommy Fury winning easy. I mean, hey, maybe we'll see something, but still, I'm thinking about doing like fight predictions and previews for Friday for these fights. I'm not sure yet. They're not too big of fights. Usually, I like to only do them for big pay-per-view fights, like of course last week with Canelo versus Charlo. This week, probably not. So I'll just do all my preview predictions now. Tommy Fury, I have winning. Tim Tszyu versus Brian Mendoza. Hey, Tim's trying to take over the WBO junior welterweight title. He's trying to take out that junior welterweight division. We saw Charlo bump up. I don't know what he's going to do. I mean, he's vacating. He had to vacate some belts. That's in Australia. But Tim's he's solid. And then this one, I'm actually I might have said the biggest fight was Tim Tszyu. I actually am more excited though. I think the biggest fight will be Tim Tszyu versus Mendoza, but I think my favorite fight, one I'm excited for most, is the WBO IBF middleweight championship. That's for Janet Beck versus Vincenzo Galtieri. Okay, I hope I said that right, but either way, that's in Texas, top ranked. Okay, I don't mind top ranked cards to be honest. We're also seeing Richard Torres fight Keyshawn Davis, or I don't want to mispronounce that name. Let's get the real card going. Either way, already. I know Keyshawn. I'll just say Keyshawn. He's fighting and Richard Torres, but it's gonna be a good card. I like the top ranked cards. Janibek, though, he could take over that middleweight division, like 100%. He could go undisputed. He's a warrior. He's mean. He's kind of, I feel like, going to be. I feel like after this fight, which I think he's going to win, I think he's going to be avoided. That could be the case. That could be the case. I mean, he's a warrior. So watching him fight, he reminds me of Triple G. All right, he's not obviously as good as Triple G, but he's right to the point. Tax you. I think he'll be avoided in the years coming. Let me look up his age quick, because he just came up. Like, he just became like famous like 2 years ago. He's 30 years old. Alrighty. But he just started like getting up there. So he won the vacant WBC Continental and WBO Global middleweight titles in 2019. I don't really care about those titles. His first real belt, he won the WBO interim middleweight champion title at 2020. He retained the WBO middleweight title in 2022. Retained it again in 2023. So I guess his biggest fight will be Danny Dignam, Denzel Bentley, Rob Brandt. But he's only 14-0. He has 9 wins by knockout. So that's why obviously he's coming out 19-0. I'm sorry, 14-0 at 30 years old, right? Had to have a good amateur career. Yeah, looking at his amateur boxing, World Championships in 2013 for the 2013 Almighty, Asian Championships, gold, and gold. For the Asian Games, Asian Championships, and World Championships. So definitely a solid amateur background. Jeez. He began boxing at the age of 6. His first fight was at 6 and he lost that match. Well, doesn't matter now, does it? But yeah, guys, that's the Big Donch Show. Recapping this weekend and then doing our reactions and previews for this Friday or this Saturday, this weekend's upcoming weekend fights. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to my channel, Big Donch. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok. How about, guys? Hope you all have a good day.